As I said before, in a plane going to Holland, you say, what the hell am I doing up here? As Ed Mauser said, you got so much goddamn gear on, you can't move anyhow. But a lot of guys, some of them had their rosaries out, other guys were praying, saying, making a sign of the cross. But you wonder what you were doing there. And I think these, I'll call them gentlemen now, here would vouch for what I'm about to say. You don't know why you're up there. You do about your country, your family, you know that. But why that outfit? Why didn't I go in the Navy? I would have rode to work, and when I didn't have to walk after I got out. But when we hit a village called Zan, and we got our act together, and we picked up those chutes, got out of them, and you saw the faces of those Dutch people, and I think these men here will vouch for it. You knew why you were there. You knew instantly why you were there. They were so gratified, and they just looked at you and were crying, laughing and hugging and giving you beer or whatever, but they were in the way so often you couldn't even get up there to fight if you had to. But really, it's true. And I remember we were in Eindhoven. It was Gone Here, Mike McMahon, Eddie Joint, and I can't think of the other guy's name, but they were debating about, before we moved up, about freedom. Ain't it great that we're here to do this for these people? And there was a Dutchman standing there, and he said, and I never forgot it. In fact, when we go to schools to talk to children, we tell them. This Dutch civilian said, the word freedom doesn't mean much. Ask any Dutchman. It's when you lose your freedom, it means everything. And we carry that with us when we go to other schools. We tell these kids the words of that Dutchman. The word freedom don't mean much. But, and I can tell you one instance that happened, if you want to hear it. I don't want to be boring. But Buck Compton was involved, and I was involved, and they had me set up a machine gun right in Eindhoven to cover this secondary road where the crowds could come in. And one of the leaders of the underground came up and he asked Mr. Compton, "Is 8 Germans on a wagon driven by horses, would you allow us to take them out?" And Lieutenant Compton said, "After 5 years under these people, yes, you can take them out." And we all agreed. And they did. They took them out. And there was one wounded Kraut. He was about 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes. He had the whole area in look. And he was in front of my machine gun, and he was holding his left shoulder. He had been wounded. He was the only survivor out of the 8. And there was a little old Dutch lady, I know, I'm getting up there now, but she was in her 80s, and she asked the German soldier, "Where does it hurt?" She was pointing to his shoulder, so we assumed what she was saying. And he said, "Oh, and he's holding the shoulder, and she hit him with a pocketbook right on the shoulder. And now he's screaming, and he said, I said, "All right," and she waffled him again. She hit him at least 4 times that I can remember. And 2 of the Dutch underground men come up, picked her up, and took her bodily away and out of the crowd. And the one, I never forget this, the one underground guy said, do you know she hit him with that pocketbook? She went and she put a brick in it. It had a brick. And we didn't know it. Well, we would have let it go anyhow. But that's true. She was in a lady and she had a brick in her. So it shows you a loss of freedom can do. That little old lady, she got even. Even when it was for 2 minutes. She got even. And I know the crowd didn't like it.
Thank you, babe. Always colorful.
There's one thing I like to mention to people when I get a chance to talk to groups, and that is there seems to be some notion afoot in this country that World War II was a righteous war and it had to be fought and so on. I agree with that. It was a righteous war and it had to be fought. But then there's this tendency for people to say, but these other wars that we fought, they weren't quite that necessary, you know, like Vietnam, Korea. That's BS. We have been fighting the exact same enemy from World War II to the present day, under different names. I choose to call it collectivism. To me, there's no difference between a socialist, a collectivist, a communist, a fascist. It's all the same enemy. Collectivism versus individual freedom. That's what we fight for. Individual freedom and not collectivism. And that's why it scares the hell out of me to read that a woman presently who aspires to be president of the United States writes a book, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. That's a collectivist mentality, and I hope to God you can see through Hillary Clinton. Thank you.
Doesn't get any realer than that, folks.
What was your life like after your war career?
Well, I think most of us, just like you, we just turned into citizens again. And I don't think there's anything different than any of it. Once the war was over, we were back to being a citizen.